already started. Live from New York. We are now broadcasting. It's Monday night live, and it's been a lousy day for me. My name is Felix. I am your host.
And I am Dr. Mark. I am an intern, so don't yell at me.
All right, let's start with welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to discuss what kind of day I had, you can call us at 516-665-1860. All right? Now, just to let you know, right now I'm waiting for police to show up because somebody just vandalized my car. They hit it.
Oh, my.
Who is it? Maybe it's police calling. Hello? Who's calling? We're on the air. All right, we're on the air. Thank you.
Well, not the police, that's for sure.
Not the police. One of our listeners said we were a minute late starting. They were worried about us. They're already getting our personal numbers. This is scary. Hey, unless we're not on. Does anybody know if we're actually on? Are we broadcasting?
Well, our volume is good, but we would have to go off the air and then find out and replay it.
No. We do have listeners that would tell us if we're not, don't we?
Yeah, we would, but the person either is not listening or hasn't said anything, so I guess it's all right.
Okay, anyway, as I started saying, so that's the kind of day I've had. If you had a day like that, where during the day today, I'm not going to mention any names, but we have two employees in my office who are married. And during the middle of the day, they started a fight, cursing and doing all sorts of things that are not
to
appropriate.
each other, obviously.
To each other. And the woman informed the man that she put in for her divorce Friday.
Before Christmas?
Before Christmas.
Oh my God! I don't believe this. Talk about a female Scrooge.
And this is forget about Scrooge, but this is at work, and he told her to get the hell out of the office. That we don't need her. Now he's not a boss. I'm the boss, so this was a little strange. But I understood where he came from. I guess I understood that they're going.
Did you see this building for a while?
Oh
or what?
Yeah, I think so. But you just don't expect it to happen in the office.
Some people don't care where they fight.
Well, I think it just started innocently enough when one comment was made, led to the next comment, Anyway, that's the other thing. Then
you could write a book about this stuff, Felix.
Yeah, we were discussing that we should ask what's involved in doing a reality show, because a lot of stuff goes on in my office, and this is just a little piece of what happens.
Tip of the iceberg, huh?
Tip of the iceberg. You wouldn't believe the other stuff that happens. But again, it's part of life, I guess. Part of my life anyway. Nobody else's. But I assume I get myself...
honestly, we never know what goes on behind somebody's closed door, okay?
That's true, but
what surprises me is that even at work, these people never made any attempt to hide their contempt for each other.
Not at all. I mean, she threatened to stab him. All sorts of stuff. It was really good. It was really good stuff if you're watching a soap opera or something, but not if you're in the middle of work. But anyway, there was apologies afterwards. She did leave, and I don't think she'll be back again. So it's been an interesting day, and as I said, I'm now waiting for the police to come, but this happened at 8 o'clock or so, or 8:10, and the police are not here, so I decided to come back upstairs and start broadcasting instead of staying outside in the rain in my shorts freezing. Because what are the cops going to do for me? Absolutely nothing. Except take a report, I guess. You know. But who knows when they'll show up. If you hear any crunching, that's because I'm eating a pistachio nut. And normally that's not done in a broadcast, but I'm aggravated. I don't care. So, pardon my munching. Pardon my cracking.
Are those your nuts crack? I mean, yeah.
Those are my nuts
Those
cracking.
are your nuts cracking, right?
Absolutely. Are they terrible?
I tell you, I didn't never knew that you had a husband and wife team working in your office.
Well, you know, it's to me everybody's just an employee until something like this happens. And then we have a little bit of a strained relationship with our tenants down, with the landlord downstairs. And whenever it comes to Christmas time, there's always a little extra tension.
Why? Raising the rent or what?
No. Something to do with last year. Something happened. They have a Christmas party, and they got mad at us. They asked us to leave. And since then, you know, so this year we decided we weren't even going to talk to them about it and leave it alone. Our one of our vendors decided to bring us breakfast in the morning. And we had the breakfast, and a couple of people were invited upstairs, but nobody came anyway, except for one kid, or one guy. But I also, as a gesture, ordered some edible, what are they called?
Edible arrangements.
Edible arrangements for the people downstairs, to wish them a happy holidays, and just, you know.
A nice gesture.
Nice gesture. I ordered for other people. Everybody's got delivered. And at 4:45, I look, and theirs wasn't delivered yet. Now, mind you, they're all leaving now.
My goodness.
You know, 5 o'clock place closes. So they delivered it 5 to 5 after everybody left.
So what are you going to do?
Except for the boss.
The fruit will spoil,
No,
won't
the
it?
boss took it home. So nobody knows what we did unless he tells him, which is doubtful, and I can't go tell him, oh, you guys missed out on a great edible arrangement with chocolate strawberries and this and that. Can't do that. So the thought was there. I don't know if it was ever related, though. So that's just the whole day has been like that. It's just been nutty day. The day before Christmas Eve. A joyous time. But I guess it's not always joyous for everybody. I'm looking forward to Christmas.
It might be just a bit of underdone potato.
Yeah.
You know, as Scrooge would say.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting, but I need a phone call, though. I need somebody else to talk to me about my aggravations for the day.
I can talk to you about your aggravation. I had a good day.
Screw you, too.
Very nice. You picking on me?
Don't tell me
you
you had a good day.
Scrooge?
Anyway, today we were originally going to talk about interfaith marriages.
Well, I wanted to, but you changed the topic.
Well, yeah, I got mad. And also, we don't really want to get into a very long discussion about anything because if the police come and they require my presence, we're going to have to terminate the show early. Unless Dr. Mark wants to continue on without me.
Not really. This is your show.
Unless Mr. Don calls up. If Dr. Don calls out, you can.
Well, then what are we going to be discussing? I mean, are we going to be?
Is
it interfaith marriage or
we'll discuss
not?
a little bit about interfaith marriage, and we can continue on.
Well, something certainly that you can
Yeah, I mean,
talk about, and
my
I
parents,
can talk about.
My parents are an interfaith marriage. I'm in an interfaith marriage, basically.
Your daughter.
My daughter's
sort of runs in the family, doesn't it?
Matter of fact, all my wife's. She has 3 brothers. I mean, 2 brothers and a sister, and they're all were in an interfaith.
Oh, they all are?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it seems to be somehow running in with whoever I'm involved.
Well, you know, it was brought to my attention by a friend of mine. Okay, my friend from Florida. He was talking to a couple who are a little bit older than us. So let's say we're 65. Let's say they're in their late 60s or maybe 70. And they were talking about the fact that the Jewish race, which is true, the Jewish religion, is dying out because of interfaith marriages. Okay, you know, it's no longer arranged marriage, no longer. Well, you have to marry a Jewish person. You marry, you fall in love. You know,
that's the way it should be.
No, I'm only explaining. Don't jump down my back.
No,
because you had a bad day.
Hey, I'm allowed to jump down anybody's back I want.
But the point is, just because I'm your intern, hey. But the point is that we are a vanishing, and when I say we, it's a global we. I'm not just talking about me. I mean, I have my own feelings about this too. But it's, you know, Judaism is a vanishing religion, and eventually there just won't be anything left. Now, my friend from Florida said, well, what difference does it make? He said, what difference does it make 200-300 years from now? You know, and I said, well, it would be nice if we were all one religion, or it didn't make a difference what religion we were.
Well, that's interfaith.
You know.
It doesn't matter what religion you are. I mean, look, all the religions are, per your explanation last week, basically the 3 major religions are intertwined in a lot of ways.
Well, that's what we said last week.
That's what I said. For your
Abraham is the father of all of them.
So, you know, every Catholic has a little bit of Judaism in them. Muslims have Judaism in it. Muslims follow.
Well, they all refer to the Old Testament. You know, Judaism does not, needless to say, refer to the Quran or the New Testament, but the other faiths are based upon Judaism, the belief in one God. So they do believe in the Old Testament up to a certain point, and then they just branch out.
But when you think about it, Muslims carry on a lot of traditions of the Jews.
On one of the programs that I saw on PBS, one of the imams, one of the professors of Islamic studies, said that's very true. If you compare, he said, much of the Muslim faith, the Islamic faith, adheres to the Orthodox Jewish faith when it comes to dietary laws. You know, a Muslim would sooner buy his meat in a kosher butcher because the meat is slaughtered the proper way, according to them.
And I mean, if you look at how many laws that came down besides the
413.
Look at some of the laws of 413 that the Muslims adhere to.
No, well, Muslims. I don't know which ones they adhere to.
I can tell you.
You
which
asked
one.
me. You asked me which ones Moses brought down from.
I can tell you which ones they adhere to. Very simple. They believe
the Ten
in
Commandments.
The 10 Commandments. If you steal, they'll chop your hand off. That's a part of the.
Oh, you know what you should have told the couple in your office? In a Muslim faith, I don't know about the Orthodox Jewish faith. It might be, but you know, if you dance around your wife a certain amount of times and say, I divorce you, blah, 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 you're divorced. And that's it.
Well, I'm sure it's not legal in any court in the United States, no matter what you do.
Sharia law.
But think about it.
Michelle
right?
Bachmann is worried about
Isn't that what
Sharia
they
law.
say?
What?
Isn't that the Muslim do? If you steal, they'll chop your hand off. That's one of the things that they do. And if you have sex with somebody else, you get your genitals cut off or whatever.
I don't know about that. Right now, you're making a supposition. I have no idea.
Hey, listen. I call them as I see them. It may not be a fact, or as I feel like calling them. It may not be a fact, but I'm pretty sure that, as I said about I know about the meats that they eat. They don't eat pork, just like the Jews don't eat pork. They wear hats over their heads, different kind of hats, but they wear hats over their heads.
Those are considered almost minor things.
They don't shave. They grow beards just like the Hasidic Jews have. They have beards. A lot of similarities, and they all came from the same place. So we're all basically the same. If we believe, the English Church left the Catholic Church because they didn't believe in divorce or something. What?
It was Henry VIII who formed his own church, his own religion, because the Pope would not allow him to get divorced, I believe from Anne Boleyn. I'm not sure which one. I think it was Anne Boleyn. So he formed his own church, the Anglican Church, and set up his own Pope, if you will, or bishop, and he got permission to get divorced.
Okay, but isn't that faith based on Christianity?
Probably.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm waiting for a phone call. Where are my phone calls?
I think I have an explanation as to why the police haven't come. According to my sources, it seems that there are a lot of accidents in Oceanside, maybe due to the weather, I'm not sure. So the police are like going crazy.
That might be it. And, as I said, I'm not going to wait for them. I heard the fire engines before and stuff when I was outside waiting for them. And, the weather's lousy. A lot of people who usually are not on the road are on the road now driving.
Well, some people are leaving for the holiday. They're going to family and friends, wherever they're going to be.
So there's a lot of extra people on the road now, which causes a lot of problems. Anyway, so where are you guys? Where are them phone calls? Don, where are you? Frank, we haven't heard from you for a while.
Is he even listening anymore?
He listens to the shows, but not live that much.
Well,
he has his reasons. He had some
I know.
Bad times himself, so I can't really complain about it. And we love our phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. So it'd be nice if we can get a phone call. That's all. That's all I got to say about the phone calls. It'd be nice if we can get one.
But really, aside from that, how do you people think about interfaith marriages? I know they're very common.
Excuse me.
Most people don't even tend to give it a second thought. According to the Jewish faith, you are the religion of your mother. So if your mother is Jewish, you are Jewish. If a Jewish man marries a Protestant or a Catholic woman, the children are Protestant or Catholic, unless she decides to bring the children up Jewish.
Yeah. Then why can't they be raised in an interfaith type way? Would they learn both religions?
Well, there are those, and then there are those. That's according to the Jewish faith. Okay? Most people do what they want. They practice both. I know I have a cousin whose daughter Met a guy at Cornell. They met at Cornell. He was in the ROTC Navy. She was in the ROTC Air Force. They got married. They had 2 boys. The boys, from what I understand, are, they weren't bar mitzvahed or anything, but I believe that they're being brought up in both faiths. I guess, they choose.
Yeah. Listen, besides, there's stuff that every religion, I think, has, certain religions have something in common. God. People who believe in only one God. Basically,
Well, they all believe in one God. It's just a matter of how they worship Him.
Yeah, but it's the same God.
I know. I'm not saying no.
I'm just saying, so that's what you have in common. You have the same God. And that's what really counts. And everybody has the same 10 commandments. I mean, it's nice to learn things, but listen, if you can't quote from the Bible, okay, you can't quote from the Bible. Does that make you a worse person?
What do you mean quote from the? What does that have to do with anything?
A lot of religious people know how to quote from the Bible, and they know excerpts from the Bible and stuff like that. Does that make you a better?
That doesn't
person?
make them religious.
Does that make them a better person?
I never said that. I
No,
don't
I'm
know
just
where
asking.
Yeah, but I don't know where you're getting that from.
Well, people you always say, well, quoting from this or that, or quoting that, God said do this.
all I
do
did,
that.
all I did is state,
I'm not arguing with you.
No, I know, but all I did is state how the religion tends to look at it.
Look, I was born. My mother was Jewish. My father was Catholic. I was baptized. So in the Jewish religion, I'm still Jewish. In the Catholic religion, I'm Catholic. And in my heart, it doesn't matter to me. It's more to me what matters is how you act, how you treat other people. There's only one God. You may call him something differently, but if you believe in God, that's the end of it. There's a God. And I'll follow some Jewish traditions. I'll follow some Catholic traditions. I don't see a conflict at all. And I married a Jewish woman, and one of my kids married a Catholic. And their son, I think, is being raised Catholic right now, but we still show him some Jewish traditions. He's only 4 years old, so it's really not going to he won't really know what's going on for a little while anyway, I don't think. So, basically, I think interfaith and people getting together, interracial, same thing. I think it's a great thing. And, interracials, which doesn't mean black and white. It could be Chinese and Indian, whatever. That's also a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as people are happy, they're not doing any harm to anybody else. Where's the problem? Who says that you can't do it? You find that most. Where do most crimes get done with? Is it because you're interfaith marriage, you become a worse person, or I don't think any of that matters. You want to follow Christian religion, fine. You want to follow Judaism, that's okay too. You're not harming anybody. You believe in preserving the earth. You believe in ecology. You believe, in your fellow mankind. That's what really matters. What does God supposed to do? He's supposed to teach us to love, I think. Isn't that true? Love thy neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're going to love thy neighbor that's only Jewish or only Catholic or only Muslim? No, love thy neighbor, whoever he is. It makes no difference. We're all people. We all have the same blood. If you got to get a transplant, and it's a matter of life and death, and they're going to say, no, this guy is not Jewish, you're going to not take his the organ?
Well, you know what happened in Israel a number of years ago, where there was one girl from New Jersey who was a victim of one of the suicide bombers on a bus, and her parents knew her wishes, and she was an organ donor, and she stipulated that all her organs go to Arab people. So is the person going to turn down a heart because it came from a Jewish girl?
Exactly. Of course not. And is that going to make you a Jewish, not that you got a Jewish heart? Or Catholic, because you got a Catholic heart? No, your heart is just an organ that functions.
All right, but I think we're really getting off the topic here. I mean, it's becoming, we're talking about interfaith marriages. We're not talking about organ donating, all right? We're not talking about anything like that.
I am.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
In a way it does. Everything has.
Not really. Look, by the same token, one could say, are you going to turn down a black person's heart because they're black and you're living down south? No, I mean, that's not the issue. That's being very picayune about something. We're talking in general.
I'm sure it's come up, though.
No.
You don't think
Why would it come up?
You don't think it's ever come up?
He didn't say it's never come up, but hey, you think this guy Phil Robinson would care if a homosexual heart was put into his body?
Of course he would. He thinks he'll become homosexual then.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. Somebody call me about that. Do you think it'll make a difference who you getting your organ from? How about a pig? Don't they use some pig organs for human beings?
They did originally, before they really started with human transplants. The pig is the closest animal to a human being as far as the organs are concerned.
Yeah, you believe that? Oink, oink.
Why? You don't believe it?
I do believe it. It just,
they would use a pig's arteries or something.
No, I mean, you would think that a monkey would have the closest.
Surprisingly not.
I understand
it's
that.
A pig.
Anyway, we still don't have a caller. No callers. I wonder why.
Well, we'll have a curtailed show today, that's all.
Are you crazy? We're not crazy now,
Hey, listen, don't go begging for people.
I'm not begging for people.
No, huh?
But I wouldn't mind if somebody called.
Hey, it's the day before Christmas Eve. I mean, people might be shopping, I mean, who's shackled to their computer listening to us,
I don't know. Who's shackled? Anybody? Okay. There seems to be a little bit too much silence here. So let's go and talk a little bit about the coffee club and the coffee party. Mark.
Yes.
Tell the people about the coffee party for a second.
Well, Felix and I, it started just around, just before election time. Too many people were talking about changes and things, and we decided that we would set up the coffee club party, where we encourage people to become the change they would like to see, and if nothing is being done about a certain problem that you see in your community or neighborhood, then you should try to do something about it, because complaining doesn't do anything. So we wanted you to get involved. And we thought that the CC, or Coffee Club Network, would be the perfect venue where you join us with a cup of coffee, a cup of joe. My favorite line was, if Kathy Lee and Hoda Kotb can have their champagne at 10 o'clock in the morning, we can have a cup of coffee at 9 or 9:30, clink our cups to toast each other, and discuss the happenings of the day, just as Felix did when he was complaining about the bad day that he had. And we also felt that the coffee party would put the power back in the hands of the people. There you have it. Patti Smith said it all. The people have the power.
We have the power.
One person leads to another, and next thing you know, you have a movement.
Just remember, if we don't vote, 90% of the people that are in Congress right now are going to stay in Congress. Now, do you approve of 90% of the people in Congress? I know I don't. Does anybody? Make the right choice.
I forgot who it. John McCain said. When one of the polls came back, and it said that 13% of the American people felt that Congress was doing a good job. John McCain himself said, "I'd like to meet some of those 13%." In other words, if you're not talking about staff members who have to vote a certain way, who have to be that way, okay, who in their right mind would say that the Congress is doing anything beneficial?
That's true. Boy, I had the silence. Silence of the Lamb.
Well, I know you don't like to hear it, but maybe we'll get lucky again. But nothing's happening, Felix, and...
Yeah, no, we had a caller before the show started wondering why we didn't start yet, and that was it.
And the funny thing is, we started at approximately a minute after 9.
Which we normally start at 9, but still, that's pretty close to...
Well, I mean, when you consider that you were waiting for the police downstairs...
Yeah.
In your underwear...
Please. You know, it's raining outside. It's cold. And somebody's knocking on your door.
Truth be told, folks, I got to tell you, there was a couple of knocks on the door, loud knocks, and I kept telling Felix, somebody's at your door. So he says, so open the door. I opened the door. 2 gorgeous women are there. And Felix actually thought he was getting lucky tonight,
Yeah, what luck?
And then they said some kids just bashed in. They weren't sure if it was his car. As it turns out, it was his car.
My car. They got it right. And somebody yelled at them and they ran away, so they didn't do any other cars.
Yeah, which was lucky because usually they don't stop at one.
It was lucky for the other people, not for me.
I think you should bring that lady a Christmas present.
Why? Because they didn't smack somebody else's car?
No, because they're good looking.
Oh. Well, listen, she had a pretty strange-looking husband.
No, ex-husband.
Ex-husband. I don't know what a husband looks like. But whatever it is, I guess they must have a friendly relationship, sort of.
I can't tell you. I don't know.
We don't know. Nobody knows anything. That's the problem these days.
Don't you remember Sergeant Schultz? Hogan, I see
know
nothing.
I
see nothing. Exactly. But, 34 minutes here, almost 35. I'm willing to cut it. I really am.
Not yet. We're going to, when the dogs are ready to go out, we'll just...
I wouldn't be surprised if they start barking almost immediately.
I don't know.
As soon as you find, as soon as you find them, at least.
Well, once the door, once they open up the door and come in the house from where they are now, and from one of the other rooms, I'm sure they'll come out and they'll do something.
What can I say? What can I say?
I don't know. I don't know what you could say. I really don't. I don't know if everybody knows we have a we have a show that doesn't work very well without a caller to interject their thoughts. We do have some people that text us and give us their opinions. In the near future, we will be broadcasting where I think people will be able to chat, which might be good.
Yes, I think we're finally joining the 21st century here.
Actually, we do have a chat. We just have to figure it out. It says this chat has currently no messages. Be the first to leave a message. So I guess there's a way of chatting. I don't know. Let's see. Anybody out there? I just wrote in. Anybody out there? But I have no idea how anybody can answer me. Look, Mark. A chat. But it's me chatting, putting in, is anybody out there? But I have no idea how anybody should answer you. Could answer me. I got to find out how that works. I didn't even know it was here. Wait a second. As always, last second, somebody calls in. This is Felix, and you're on the CC Radio
Net. You forgot already.
No. Hello.
Mark, Bill, you guys there?
Who's this?
This is Daniel.
Dan. You always
man.
manage to save us when we're ready to go off the air because no one's listening.
Yeah.
What I want to talk to you guys about is something that's fresh on the on TV, is the Duke Dynasty. I'm trying to learn myself a little bit what happened.
But
Comments, please fill me in. I mean, I heard, but I want to hear your comments on it first before I talk.
Well,
And also your comments about intermarriages, racial, but Duke Dynasty is a weird one. Another strange topic to talk about.
well, the show is Duck Dynasty.
Duck.
And it seems like these people invented a duck call, and that's how they made their money.
They made him rich.
They made them millionaires, okay? And the man had an epiphany a number of years ago and became a reborn Christian and adheres strictly to the...
But he has the right to say something, though. Why did he lose? I mean, why did he have the right to say something?
Well, he got suspended. He'll come back.
Well,
I know, but I'm just saying,
no. He has a right to say something, but A&E, as his employer, has a right to
Have restrictions.
have restrictions on what he could say that they deem is offensive, racially offensive to certain people. What my complaint was when Martin Bashir said things on MSNBC about Sarah Palin, these same conservative Republicans were up in arms.
Right.
But he was told to leave his job. He was fired.
Exactly right. That's what I'm calling. I don't understand what happened.
Well, the whole thing boils down to money. Duck Dynasty brings in a lot of money to A&E because it's one of their number one rated reality shows.
Right.
So what's going to probably happen is that this guy will eventually be coming back on the show, but not right now. That's all.
I heard this. That he's not right now. He's come back on, but I don't. His comment, okay, maybe not proper or whatever you want to call it, but he has a right to speak.
Well, he does have the right to speak, but when you join a network or anything, you sign a contract and you agree to certain things and to adhere to their policies. You got to remember when you're working for somebody. Once you're at work, it's not a democracy any longer.
You know,
Your civil rights and all those rights, a lot of your rights do not apply to you when you're working.
Look, it goes. I'm just frustrated with what we all see. Like Martha Stewart can, do a scam with the stock market, and she goes to jail, but she comes back more popular than ever. I mean, she obviously committed fraud, but she comes back. She went to jail, but she comes back more popular than ever. The same thing this guy's going to do. He's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, it'll be good for A&E, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're right. Is it publicity stunt? What is it?
No, it's not a publicity stunt. This was something that he did, and I'm sure he's going to have to apologize or something.
Look at Miley Cyrus, the singer, if you guys know her.
yes, remember.
The young girl, that was disgusting what she did.
Well, what she was trying to do, unfortunately, she's trying to tell people that the Hannah Montana character
Right.
is a thing of the past. That was when she was 12 and 13.
She's not an adult.
She's 18, 19, or 20, whatever she is. She's a young adult. She's doing what she wants to do. And to hell with everybody else.
Well, that's what yeah. I don't know if you have young kids, but I think we're talking about this already, I think.
Oh, as a father, I wouldn't like it at all.
My daughter, I saw it. I was like, what? But a good stunt because every guy is watching it. You saw what she did on stage. My kids are watching it. They want to imitate.
Excuse me.
It's okay. They watch this. What do you teach in the young generation that Hannah, like you're saying, Mark, I agree with you. She wants to go above and beyond, she wants to grow.
She's just in...
Madonna did this. But I'm upset because my daughter's, it's crazy.
Yeah, but when Madonna did it, Madonna was a woman into her late 20s, early 30s already. She wasn't a 20-year-old kid or an 18-year-old kid, And Madonna did not have a reputation for being a sweet little girl, Hannah Montana, okay?
I agree.
Hey Don, the bottom line is this is all for money.
Everything is money.
It's everything.
She's losing the attractions of her younger self, so now she's got to make a new self.
And they come out with this poster with her on the on the wrecking ball or with this guy, and it's selling out because people want to have it. People are doing their hair just like her. The way.
I can't say my wife's kids. They idolize. I can't say anything bad about her. I want to, but I say something bad, they get mad at me for saying something bad about her.
Well, the worst thing that could happen is they'll say that you're old-fashioned, and you just come back and say, yeah, I am. I'm not used to that stuff.
Well, I think she's saying it's time for the kids to stop watching her, and it's time for the adults to start appreciating her.
I will say one thing when you talk about your wife's children or whatever, just remember the hardest thing to be is a step-parent, okay? You can't overstep your bounds. You have to be there to support them when they need it and everything, but, you have to make sure that if something is going to be said that they may not like, you have to talk to your wife about it because it shouldn't really come from you because...
I love her kids.
No, I realize that, but, you never know when they're going to come out and be hurtful and say, listen, you're not my father.
Oh, I've already had that.
That's what I mean.
Okay, the other thing, I don't know if you heard, did you hear the beginning of the show or it took you a little while to get out?
No, I tried to find you guys, and, everything's fine. I hear you guys loud as well. I didn't hear catch the first part of the show.
Well,
that's all right. No, you didn't miss much, according to our audience.
My car got smacked. Some kids vandalized my car.
All right.
You know what? I did hear that. I thought it was a joke.
If I could reset the scene for you, there was knocking on Felix's door.
I thought it was a joke.
So I opened it up, and if I tell you, two good-looking girls were there. All right, Felix really thought he was getting lucky tonight. All right.
Guys, I thought it was a joke.
No.
And
no
they
joke.
said, "Do you own?" And then they mentioned the car, and Felix said, "That's my car, I believe." And we both went down, and kid smacked his mirror
with a baseball bat.
with a baseball bat. And what happened was she was outside with one of her girlfriends. She looks like a kid. They all look like kids to me. I'm 65 years old, but she said she and her friend yelled at them, and they ran away. Otherwise, they probably would have done a bunch of cars.
So I happen to be the lucky car.
Wait, hold on. Well, where was your car?
In front of the house.
In front of my house.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, tell me
No,
about
even
it.
Jesus couldn't help him.
Maybe he did. Maybe they were trying to smash the windshield.
Maybe
in.
those kids will find coal in their stockings instead of a gift.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I was hearing this. I think it'd be that in the show. I thought it was a joke.
No.
You see, people don't know when we're being serious, Felix.
Hey, listen, I had people thinking that you were in Israel broadcasting.
That's right. Do you realize, Dan, that the other week, last Friday, I believe it was, last Monday when we were talking about Abraham, the father, and I said, I'm broadcasting from the Holy Land, Jerusalem. It's 1-800 number.
Now, I knew that was a joke.
But Felix said that there were people in his office who thought that I was really there.
Downstairs in my office, they were listening to it.
I'm sure my father was like, we're listening to you guys. And I said, Dad, that he's not in Jerusalem. He's not broadcast. I said, no, it's not a joke. I said, that's a joke. But now I thought your car thing was a joke.
Well,
Oh, man.
yeah, we just got word. My daughter just texted me. I asked her if you were coming in loud enough and she could discern what you were saying. And she says, not really. I can't understand him. Now, that's not your fault. That's on our fault. That's our fault.
We hear you fine.
We hear you fine. The problem is that anybody else who's listening to the podcast, to the live cast now and or the podcast later, will have you fading in and out. My daughter said that she listened last week's show, and she had to turn it off after half of it because your voice was fading and she only got half the conversation. Okay? She got our answer to your questions, but she couldn't hear the question.
Right. Well, bar my problem, or like you said, my fault, is when I call from a cell phone, it fades in and out. But now, it sounds perfect.
It is perfect. We hear you perfect, too.
You are perfect. Your volume is fine according to our...
Are you calling from your cell?
What was, I don't know. That sounds good. No, it sounds good, guys.
Yeah, but
Great topic tonight anyway. Was this interracial?
It was supposed to be on interracial marriages, yes.
So
Actually, no, interfaith marriages.
Interfaith marriage. Interfaith. Interfaith. I'm not sure how to answer that one.
Well, it's becoming more and more common.
It makes it hard. You can have two couples, whatever. They have your couples, but the problem comes in where I don't care about whether you're Jewish or you're Catholic married, but the problem comes in is when the families come at Christmas time or when you do family things together.
You do both.
Well, you see, it's not only that. It's never really the two people who are getting married or the children who are the result of the marriage. It always comes from the relatives, namely your parents, her parents, your brothers and or sisters, or her brothers and or sisters, who seem to find fault and they stick their nose into your life where it doesn't belong.
Right. I'm half Italian, half German. So, you can call them what? Who wants to hear that? As a kid, all the years. I'm happy with my life. I don't care, but I heard it all the time.
Hey, listen, one of my daughters went out with a German-Irish young man, and he was the nicest guy in the world. He himself came from a screwed-up family, okay? And...
When you say screw up family, obviously not bad way, just mean...
No, just, sister had one or two kids out of wedlock, and his father had split, and it was not easy for them. Okay, but he was trying to maintain and hold everything together. He was a hardworking boy, hardworking guy. We really liked him, and he liked us, and religion didn't mean anything to him. But my daughter didn't marry him, but for whatever reason, that's, her thing.
Mark, I hear what you're saying. I believe you. I mean, as far as I understand, I'm with you. I mean, it's like, what's his name? Why can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
Why do you have to be a full Italian? Why do you have to be full German? Why do you have to be full Irish?
Well, you see, what's going to happen in the future eventually, because I've said this before, is that, getting into interracial marriages, which of course has to do with interfaith marriages, when everybody starts intermarrying and blacks and whites and Asians and American Indians or Pakistanis or whatever you want to say, when all these people start marrying each other, all right, then there won't be any discrimination, I would hope, because everybody's the same thing, but it'll take generations.
It's going to take Mark, right. It's going to take over.
And you always got your radicals.
Like the guy needs, they stick together. They don't.
Well, and it's the same thing with Indians too. I had a student of mine. She went away to college. She wound up in California. She went, I think, to law school in UCLA, and it was very important to her and her family that she marry another Indian. Okay, and she. She got married in the native dress of her country. He got married the same way. Okay, they're bringing their children up. However, they're bringing their children up. What can I say?
Well, I tell you something. I may have said this on a show before. I hope I don't repeat myself.
That's all right. We do all the time.
Just stop me if I'm telling the same story. Like Felix knows that I like going to the Hilton over at JFK.
Okay.
The bar, the restaurant. Now the Jewish people are so funny. I'm not funny. I don't mean in disrespect. It's just interesting how they interact when they date. The guy will wear a top hat. I mean, something to me old school. I mean, not to me, not in this world, this generation. The guy will go to the bar with a top hat, and the girl's coming down the side of it.
The payas, yes. Those are Hasidim.
Right. Now the girls, it happens all the time. I like seeing it. I'm not making fun of them. I mean, I respect everybody. But to me, it's funny watching. So the guy will go to the bar. No alcohol beverage. They'll walk to the bar, and the girl will be about, they must measure it. I don't know, 5 feet behind the guy. So he'll order soda or a salsa for the woman. And then, okay, I'm laughing at this. I'm watching this. I'm like, how do you get to know somebody like this? Or what laws do they have as far as the relationship goes? I'm thinking, I'm sitting with my wife, I'm like, her and I, hugging each other at a bar or a dinner at a table, and they're 6 feet apart.
She can hear him now.
And then after they get their drink, whether it's soda or whatever, the seltzer soda.
Yeah.
And then they go, they sit out in the lounge, and then again, they're away from each other, and they just talk. I don't know what that law is or what they have.
Well, first thing, this is a sucker of a singles club, right?
No, I don't know, Felix. I don't know. I just see it all the time. I go there.
Was it an affair that they were at?
It's like
a wedding or a...
I don't know, Mark. I don't know what it's called. It's a Jewish singles night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's sucker of a singles night.
But I feel, I don't know about you and Mark. I mean, when you date somebody, you're with somebody, not 6 feet away from the person.
Well, you see, that's okay. My nephew, my sister's youngest son, is a religious Jew, follows the Chabad, it's called. And when they have a matchmaker. Okay. He went to Ithaca, she went to NYU. Okay. And they both belong to the Chabad, and the rabbi introduced them. He makes the introduction. All right? And, first they just talk. Then they go out with a with a chaperone. You know, they never touch. They never touch. They don't kiss. They don't hold hands. Nothing.
They don't do anything.
And
I can't relate to it. I can't understand to that.
and they see whether or not they have things in common, and if they agree, then within 3 months they're married.
What do you mean they agree? The couple
If the couple agrees that they want to take this to the next level or the next step, they have to get engaged. And they get engaged, and the first time he's ever really allowed to kiss her or hold her or touch her is on the wedding night. Now,
That's crazy. To me, I'm sorry. That people might yell at me on your call.
No, well, listen, Dan.
it's what they believe. It's not what I believe, okay? It's not even really what my sister believes,
There are
okay? But this is what makes him happy. He studies the Torah, you know. He's going for a master's. He's going for a master's at UCLA, and he's going to teach religious composition, and he's going to be going for his doctorate. She is originally from California, so they're going to move to California like in February, okay? And that's probably where he'll live. You know, he will wind up teaching at UCLA.
But, you know, Dan, you got to remember, this is...
Hold on, wait, Joe. I might cut you off because this goes on to my story. I guess I just don't understand them as far as the culture, the religion. I mean, Mark, this is great. And Felix, like, one of the guys, the top hat, he went to the bathroom. And I was in the bathroom. Now, me just, having a drink to me, and I went over to him. He was taking a leak, and sorry to say, guys, on the radio.
That's fine.
I was going to the bathroom next to him. I said, hey, what are your chances tonight with her? Right. I said, what are your chances tonight? Look, I'm just joking around with him,
Because it...
Next to another guy, I said, what are your chances tonight with her? His face turned bright red.
Well, because he doesn't know about chances or anything like that, or, this is just an introduction type of thing. They talk, they see if they have something in common, if they want to take it a little further,
And he's smart. He was, his face is bright red.
Well, you see...
He's smart. And he didn't want to talk to me.
Well, you know why? First of all, you're not one of him. Okay? He would do the same thing to me. I'm not considered Jewish enough for him. Okay? But I would know not to ask him anything either.
Right. All right, get this. Tonight, the story goes further. Your Mark, fill me in. But the story goes further. So, I'm embarrassed. It looks like I embarrassed the shit out of him. How are you guys going to make out tonight? He just smirked. His shoulders went up, and that was it. He didn't say anything to me.
Yeah, well, they're not going to make out tonight. And,
No, he means, you know what he means about make out. He means...
Wait. It gets better. So then we walked out of the bathroom together. I'm trying to get friendly with him. He didn't want to talk to me. But he was a little smart. I saw a smiley face on him. Then he whispered into his, whatever, his date, his girlfriend, date, whatever you call it. And she comes over to me with him. And she was pissed off.
Yeah, you're talking about them behind, or her behind her back, I mean, hey, listen, I have news for you. They have very strange customs.
Strange customs, right? Customs, like Mark. Customs. I don't know their customs.
I mean, I when I went to his wedding, it was...
It was like Abraham. We're all the same.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because they are very... They keep to themselves. They only deal with their own kind, okay?
I know that, Mark. I agree 100%.
I don't say too many positive things about my father-in-law, but may he rest in peace. But my father-in-law sold his business to an Orthodox Jew, a Hasidic Jew. Okay? The guy made 2 payments and then screwed him out of the rest of the money. All they had was a handshake. And the bottom line is, he was not a member of the clan, so to speak. All right? So... handshakes and business agreements meant nothing to this guy. When it eventually went to court and it was settled 10 years later, the guy was behind the 8 ball, all right? Because the law is the law and contracts are contracts, But, I mean, they'll screw anybody over. They won't screw their own kind over. Now, I'm not saying that my nephew was like this in any way. I don't know. I don't think so. You know, he'll talk to me the way I'll talk to you. Whether he'll...
You know, Mark, look, a good person is a good person. I don't care whether you're, to me, like Abraham. Everybody's all the same. A good person is a good person. I don't care whether it's Jewish or black, white, whatever. You know, I don't care. A good person, a good person. But they definitely have a, I don't know, way about themselves.
Listen,
This... Go ahead, Felix.
I was going to say, I used to, I think you guys know, I was born in Israel. And even there, the Hasidics and the more liberal Jews don't get along.
It's and this is true all over. This is why people, you know, dislike. And I used to tell my father this. This is why people dislike Jewish people, because they claim we all like to live together.
Right.
You know, because, you know, at least my grandparents had certain dietary laws, okay, that the meat had to be slaughtered in a certain way, okay, then they would only eat kosher food, blah, 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 etc. Anything like this that would set them apart from other people.
Well, that's Mark. I'm trying to cut you off again. Jesus, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on radio. I mean, I dated a lot of Jewish girls in my upbringing.
Why aren't you allowed to say that?
Why you, yeah.
If they feel like, I do like, look, I'm not sure, like, a good person's a good person, but I dated a lot of Jewish girls, I met their families and sat down with them, and they somehow feel like they're better. I don't know why they feel
Okay. Well, this goes along with the original question that I mentioned to Felix. My friend down in Florida knows a couple who are just a little older than me. They're like pushing 70. And they said that the Jewish race is dying out because of interfaith marriages, and the children in many cases are not being brought up Jewish, or they're not being given a choice, you know. Well,
that's not Jews, that's everybody.
well, but if you go by numbers, the Jewish religion, there are very few Jews in the world. Okay, really, percentage-wise, there are very few of us left. And those that are left, many of them are intermarrying. They're marrying for love and everything. And the children, in many cases, are losing their Jewishness. Okay? That's why her parents, these girls that you dated, didn't feel that they were better than you. It's just that you were starting out with one strike against you because you weren't Jewish. Listen, I have a cousin who got married to a couple of a Jewish person first, and this person physically abused her. Okay? Just because the person is the same religion doesn't make him a good person. Okay? And again, I stress to you that my daughter was dating an Irish-German young man for a long time. And we thought he was terrific. He loved her. He was crazy about her. Okay? He loved our family. We loved him and everything, but it was my daughter's choice. But we would not have been unhappy one way or the other if she married him, because he was a good person. And that's what Felix was saying before about being a good person. You are a good person, but ordinarily the older Jewish people, tend to feel that, they worry about the grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And as I just said before to you, if grandparents and aunts and uncles would mind their own business and leave it up to you and your wife and the children, you'd be much happier.
Well, let me listen. A traditional Italian family would not be happy also if you bring in a Muslim to the family or a Jewish person.
That's forbidden. You can't do that.
So it's just like that in every religion.
I guess. Another funny story from your show. In high school, I dated a girl, a Jewish girl, and her parents hated me. I had a Nissan, whatever, 280, a 300ZX. And And I was only whatever, 17 years old. I go to the house, have family, the dinner with the family, and the father, I it ridiculed me. I couldn't believe it. I just wanted to drive off and leave. He walks outside. He goes, "Why do you have to take the windows for?" I said, "I don't know. It's popular." I said, "I bet you smoke. I bet you smoke pot in the car." I don't
You know what I would have said? I said, no, I make out with your daughter in the car.
Exactly.
You know?
She goes, "Why you take the windows of the car for?" I bet you smoke pot in here.
Okay, now I have a perfect joke for you.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So then we go sit down, family dinner. And he goes, "You want to have a beer?" I said, "No, I'm all right. Soda. Are you sure?" He's like, "No. I bet you drink." I said, "No. I said, "No, I said, soda's fine." He goes, "Where are you guys going tonight?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "We didn't talk movies, something, I don't know." So, I learned the Jewish culture a lot, how they're so connected, how they're just, click.
It's every religion, Dan. You got to remember, for 150, 200 years ago, there was no such thing as interfaith.
Well, don't forget, he had one strike against him anyway. Not for the fact that he wasn't Jewish, but he was part German. Okay?
Oh, well, that probably something to do with it, too.
He was part German. Okay?
Yeah.
And you're talking about when he was 17, so you're talking about maybe 20 years ago, 20 some odd years ago. And, you're that much closer to the end of World War II and the Holocaust and everything else. So these people, that's what goes through their mind.
You guys older than me, but, like I dated a Chinese girl back, 2 decades ago, and, they got like a look down on. It's just like you're telling us. I'm trying to keep up to your topic, but I dated a Chinese girl, and everyone looked down on me. The Chinese people, but the Chinese, her family hated me.
Well, because they, you talk about, Jewish people being that way. The Oriental people, I mean, it's a sin. It is a sin. You can be ostracized from the community. I mean, my cousin dated very briefly an Asian girl, and her parents were quarantined during World War II because they were Japanese. Okay, so you talk about, why? It was all done because Truman was worried about, Japanese sympathizers.
Yeah, I don't know how much time I have left here, but...
As much time as you want.
All right, well, the Chinese, she was a good girl. She was a good girl. Very nice. I mean, the Chinese girl I dated. I don't care. It lasted, I'm going to say about 2 months. Only because not that her and I weren't good together. It wasn't that. It was just all the outside...
Because her parents started to give her a hard time, and she felt it's just not...
And her friends gave a hard time about dating me, and I said, all right, well, it's over. And I met her... I took her a couple of classes in Nassau Community College. I'm talking about 2 decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I bumped into her. And she just smiled, and too bad it didn't work. I said, yeah, too bad. And, that's sad. But then nothing bad again. But I knew there were issues. This size, she can't.
Well, don't forget also, and it's not just that. I mean, if you were dating a Latina woman, and she and her friends were talking Spanish, and you don't speak Spanish, well, this girl would talk, in Japanese or Chinese to her friends, and you don't know what they're saying, and they're talking about you because they're looking at you,
That's exactly what happened. I go over her house with her friends or her parents. Their faces don't look too happy. All you hear is my pie, and looking at me, and to look at her, and obviously it wasn't happy talk. See, I'm not that stupid. So,
I have to, don't go away. I have to mention, and my daughter's listening, since we're talking about interfaith marriages, I do have to mention my awesome son-in-law in Ohio, who is not Jewish, married to my daughter, and we're very happy that they're happy. Okay, now my daughter is pushing 40. She just turned 35, but that's my joke with her. She's pushing 40. But the bottom line is they're very good together. and now I'm off the hook with that because I mentioned my awesome son-in-law, and I'm sure I'll get a mention about that. But I just want to tell you a joke, okay? Mary Jane Sullivan was going out with Stephen Schwartz, and it's rather serious. And her parents sit her down and they say, Mary Jane, it's obvious that you and Stephen are rather serious with each other. She says, well, Daddy, it kind of looks that way. He said, if you were both one religion, it would be so much easier on the children. He said, maybe you should talk to him about the idea of conversion, and being of one faith. So Stephen picks her up at 8 o'clock. They're going to a movie, going out to eat, whatever, just like you said. 8:30, she comes running into the house and she's in tears. Father sits her down. Says, Mary Jane, what happened? So she can't get the words out. So he said, did you talk to Stephen about what we discussed? And through her tears, she says, yes. Was he agreeable to that? And again, through her tears, she says, yes. So he says, so what's the problem? She said, I think I oversold him. He wants to be a priest. So, what can I tell you?
Oh, God.
That was a good joke.
I thought it was funny.
I think it was funny.
You only think jokes are funny if they're dirty.
No, I thought it was funny, I said.
Oh, all right.
I thought it was funny. It was cute.
I have to be careful because I have certain people who listen to me, and I got to make sure that, it's all G-rated,
Well, we are a PG-rated show. That's what I think.
People need parental guidance when they listen to us, let me tell you.
We need parental guidance.
Yes.
Interfaith.
You okay with that? You don't care?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it too. I just don't have any problems.
The best thing to do is to leave the people alone. Let them do what they want. It may not be to your liking, okay, but the bottom line is when I guess, I've given this a lot of thought, and when two people get married, they should do what's best for them. They wind up doing it anyway, I look. People fall in love, they fall in love, but definitely the repercussions. Hey, listen, Dan, you know how many times I proposed to Felix?
Huh? What'd you propose to me?
Yeah, he just took another drink here, I'm trying to get him drunk, so you should see the bottle he's got here. Little by little, it's going down.
Yeah. Been having some bad days lately.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. There's all that bad days.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about Friday, but if we can get, maybe Dr. Don could call up and give us his ideas about
I'm sure
about this. I'm sure it's like right up his alley.
Yeah, I'm sure he's interested in that because he mentioned last time that he has.
Hey, listen, put your wife on the line sometimes. We'll talk to her too. Hey, listen. When Felix started this, he said, come over to the house Friday. You doing anything? I said, no. I come over. He sets this whole thing up, and he starts broadcasting. And he has the mic, and I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no, I'm on the air right now. He says, here, say something. And they can't shut me up now.
You didn't want to say a word.
I didn't want to say anything.
I get in a daze when I call you guys. There's just so many things to talk about.
Well, we are, as I say, a show about nothing, and my sister, Tina, argues with me and says, you're definitely a show about something because you're always talking about something.
And I said,
with her. We're always talking about whatever the people want to talk about. That's the thing.
So we're not a show about nothing. We're the people's show.
The People's Choice, like that old show on TV.
Yeah.
This is something to talk about sports. Just change our whole topic. Sports. My in-laws, Marianne's, my wife's her brothers. When I say diehard fans of Giants, I mean diehard.
Well, I'm a big Giant fan.
No, no. Listen, all right. So you're gonna like the story. The high hard, all tattoos. They go to every. They fly around the scene. They go training camp.
Really?
See them? Oh yeah. So get this. So they connected. They know everybody. I mean, I'm not talking signatures. I mean, personally know them. So 2 summers ago, they flew up Ron Dixon to their home with his wife, he's black, obviously, and he's white. That's not even an issue. I'm just saying they flew him up. He came up. I couldn't believe it.
So, where do they live?
Oh well, my wife, they live in Florida.
Oh.
So here, this is a great story. So Ron Dixon came out of Florida. That's where he was born and raised. I'm sure you know about him, how he won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That return kick. So this is a great story. So Ron Dixon he wanted to learn New York. He didn't know anything about New York. So all my in-laws, brother-in-laws, they're about the season ticket. So he wanted to sit with the people. He wanted to stay with the people at the state.
Mm-hmm.
He sat in the state, sat right next to, coincidence, sat right down next to my 5 in-laws, my brother-in-laws. And they became great friends. And all for years. So he came up, they flew him up with his wife. I don't know if they for the tickets, but they came up. I met him. I couldn't believe it. You don't believe what he said, how about money, how it works. So he got a big contract. I think Ron Dixon got $30 million for 30 years. I told one, I'm not here. I told her one-on-one.
No.
Great guy, and a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, he kept saying, "I'm Ron Dixon." Not one name, not like you and I, not Dan or Mark. He kept saying, "I'm Ron Dixon," and this is the backyard barbecue party, and he was with his wife. He's in acting now. He just want to get an acting, but he said how it works with money. He goes, "I got $30 million contract." You think I saw $30 million? I said, "I don't know. Tell me how it works." Well, anything is 10%. The taxes, they don't pay for the move. I moved from Florida to New York. He goes, I must make maybe $10,000 out of this whole damn thing.
That I find hard to believe.
No, what you say? You got $30 million contract. He told me the truth. I'm not hearsay. $30 million. He said, I must have walked away with the $10 million.
Well, $10 million.
Oh, $10 million. I thought you said 10,000.
No, $10 million. He walked away with $10 million after $30 million contract.
And you know something?
That's a lot.
I had an accounting teacher when I was going for my 30 credits above my master's.
Right.
And he said, you know how people complain that, if you're in a 90% tax bracket, this was obviously back in the 70s. And he said, I wouldn't mind making $250,000 and giving 90% to the government. He said I could still live comfortably, so the bottom line is, can you see yourself living comfortably on $10 million?
Yeah, I agree with you, but the best part was of the story, besides telling me about, the best part, I met him. He came over to Marianne's brother's house, and he stayed all night with us. And the best part was he didn't want to talk about football.
They never do.
He came over to, we're obviously the biggest, a lot of people, I'm just going to say whatever, 20, 30 people in the backyard barbecue over the summer. Again, a couple of years ago. He actually moved over to sit next to me. Because my table, I love football, but you want to talk about bullshit. Like you and I are talking about.
Well, they're tired of about talking about football.
Well, that's because once they hear, if he wouldn't go around saying, "Hi, I'm Ron Dixon," if he just says, "I'm Ron," and people talk to him, they wouldn't talk football,
Well, listen.
No, right. You think the last thing he wants to hear is talking football?
Well, listen. I wouldn't want to talk to somebody about work all night myself if I go over someone.
Someone talk about trucking all night long. He just came over, sat down at the table. I guess 5 of us, 6 of us who work really, football enthusiasts. I didn't want to talk about football, and we did it. He loved it. He goes, "This is great. It's the best conversation I've ever had."
There are certainly other things that he can talk about. He's not a one-dimensional person, is what he's saying.
Yeah, wife came over and he came down, sat down at the table, and he goes, I don't want to talk football anymore.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
He just wants, so he's just bullshit. That's everything. Like,
You know, my wife used to complain that when a bunch of teachers get together, all they do is talk teaching.
right.
Okay, but I have news for you. My comeback to her was she was always in the medical field. Okay, she's a radiation therapist, and I said, I have met two very nice people through my wife. Who one of them is, well, what are you marching? What's going on?
Who's coming? Maybe police are finally coming.
Having a serious conversation here, Felix.
Well, I don't know. Who is that?
Anyway, they're both doctors. He's brilliant. He's a neuroradiologist. He only deals with the head up, okay? And she's a radiologist. She reads the films and scans and everything. And when they got together, I used to feel like I was not there. This was when I first met my wife, before we were married. They would talk medicine. Ellen is very knowledgeable about medicine. Ellen could have been a doctor, okay? Had she, she made the right connections, but it just wasn't in the cards for it to happen to her, But the bottom line is, and I would feel like I was left out, so I wasn't shy, and I told her. I said, listen, you complain about me. I mean, and when people in business get together, invariably, most of the time, they talk business.
Right.
It's just a fact of life.
All right. I still believe I said met him. I'm talking sit down with him. Raul is right next to me. I mean, he's obviously a superstar as far as...
And you see, after all that, when you treated him like an ordinary person, then you asked for his autograph to show everybody.
No, I didn't. Believe it or not, I didn't. I didn't at all. But he was just so... I saw him transform as far as talking football with all her brothers and everyone else was there. I was interested in that. He's talking about going to the movies and films.
Well, the sad thing is, if your in-laws, meaning your brothers-in-law and everything, if they were to try to talk to him about anything else, they would be at a loss because they couldn't. They want to talk football,
Dr. Mark, you're right. They couldn't. So when he sat down with me, I didn't ask anything about football. And he didn't want to talk about either. So I read people well, and he didn't want to talk about football. He just wanted to talk about having fun and, his trip up here and his movie stuff and, just talk about this bullshit about politics. And, I mean, we didn't talk football at all. Not one thing came out about football.
Well,
and that's why he stayed so long talking to you.
He sat down for so long, and the funny thing is, then my brother-in-law would hover over and ask a football question. Well, how many yards did you do? How many, So, I just talked about life. I mean, he loved it. And so did his wife. They don't want to talk about football.
of course not. Just like I don't want to talk about work. And the teachers like to talk about work. I will say that.
Yeah.
Well, I could do without it, believe me. I mean, today I got together with 3 friends who I know for 53 years, okay? We usually get together once a month for lunch and a movie. Today we just did lunch. And invariably, they started talking, one of the conversations was about, one of my friends and teaching and everything. And, I just as soon not even talk about that. I don't, I'm not doing it anymore. Why should I waste my breath on that? There are other things to define people other than something like that,
Yeah.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. Absolutely. All right, guys. It's talking enough tonight. I can go on, but other issues.
There, save some of it for Friday.
All right, cool.
That's... I think you're getting your walking papers here. The dogs are barking.
Felix, I hope you have a better day tomorrow.
What was that?
Hope you have a better day tomorrow.
Well, I don't know how that's going to happen. He's going to get into his car, look at the side view mirror, see that it's not there, and then he's going to remember.
Yeah.
So he's going to start out in a real shitty mood.
That's the funny thing. You got to think about that kind of your jokes because I thought that was a joke.
No.
His car.
No, when we joke, you'll know about it. You know,
Yeah, well, you don't know about it because
he was deadly serious.
Oh yeah, you probably didn't hear the first few seconds of the show.
I maybe didn't hear the first few seconds, probably.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
And by the way, they called the police, and that was at 8:00. The police has never showed up, and now it's 10.
I heard about the police not showing up. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
The neighbors next door, when they saw it, they called the police.
Oh, Jesus.
No, come on. The truth is, when we opened up the door, Felix attacked one of the young ladies, so, she had to call the police on him.
But they still didn't show up.
Now, is that a joke or not?
No, that's a joke.
That's a joke.
See, me, I'm a eunuch. It wouldn't make a difference one way or the other,
All right, gentlemen. Well, yes, hopefully we'll have more callers, and I love all these chiming. My doctor.
Even Viagra doesn't help me, so what could I tell you?
All right, so
All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and hopefully Dr. Don will call in.
I want to say that it was a pleasure that you called because, and I told this to Felix, I said, I'm chalking it up, Felix, and he even said, when you say that, somebody always calls. And I was ready to cut it at 35 minutes, and then you called, and we've been talking to you now for like 50 minutes already. So, that's fine with me.
48 minutes and 55 seconds.
Much more to talk about. I guess we'll save it for
Hey, listen, save it for the next show.
Write it down so you don't forget it.
I won't.
All right, Dan, thanks
All
a
right,
lot.
We'll see you soon, Don.
I'll see you later.
Dan.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, Mr. Felix,
Well, that was,
saved again from another lousy show.
or maybe that made it a lot. No, shouldn't say that.
Not at all.
We love our callers, even though lately we love
We
our...
only get 2 people calling.
I know. I was going to say, we love our caller.
Well, it's him and Don. We love our callers when they call, and we appreciate the people who text us to let us know that the show is they can hear and they understand what's going on. We are going to check the podcast before we send it out, or at least I am.
Also, there is a chat mode here where you could just go on the screen and chat, which I don't know how to use yet.
Well, you chatted to yourself, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, no, but somebody else has got to know how to get into the same chat mode.
How are they going to know if we don't know?
Exactly, so I got to find out how that works.
You have to understand, folks, Felix is our technical man.
Boy, we're in trouble. The only reason I'm a technical man because I know just about 2 inches more than...
Oh, you know a lot more than me. Please. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen...
Listen, I can break any computer there is.
I thought you have.
Well, that's why I have 2 computers
We're
here
working on 2 computers, and if you brought a third in, that wouldn't last too long either.
They usually work for about a week, then all of a sudden everything starts going array.
Well, you see, we really have a tough time with our audio. Felix and I can hear each other fine. For the most part, we can hear our callers okay. Maybe just a tad low. But when it comes to other people hearing the podcast, my daughter said that she had to turn it off on Friday after half the show because she couldn't hear our caller and she was only getting one half of a conversation, namely
tonight
our
she
half.
said it was back and forth.
No, well, actually, she said it started out, one listener said he was low, then she said he was okay, and my daughter said that it was all right, that she could hear him. Because it's funny, I texted her and I said, can you hear him? And at the same time, she said she can hear him okay. So,
well, we're going to listen to the show and see what it sounds like. I mean, that's we know in the past it hasn't been good. We've been trying to improve our standards because even iHeart told us that our quality was not there.
They enjoyed our commentary since we're all talking everything, but our technological end of it left much to be desired. So
we didn't really realize how bad it was until we started listening a little bit more, a little harder.
It's true. And if anybody out there heard the test pattern, forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, that was when we were told about the car, and there was like 20 minutes of silence in between because we had gone downstairs. But anyway, this is Dr. Mark saying join us again for another cup of Joe. And
This
Felix?
This is Felix, your host of the show, and with my co-host again, Mark. I want to thank him for being here and listening to my complaining in the beginning of the show.
Anytime, Felix. That's what I'm here for. I am your whipping boy.
And for the whipping boy and Felix, we're going to say goodnight now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
It ain't happening. There we go.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.